We're back on the air. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is Jeffrey Davis, and I want to thank all our reporters and everyone for 2015 and all the support they gave us in building the show. Our next guest is Darnely Howard, and he's the president and founder of Advansa International. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Darnley, tell us about Advansa.
Well, it's a consulting firm which focuses on financial management and business strategy. Most of our market consists of small and early stage companies locally in New England, as well as a fair amount of international work in focusing on the emerging markets, particularly in West Africa and other parts of Africa and the Caribbean.
Right. So do you find the business to have a lot of stability in that market? Is there, or is that a more unstable consult? I'm in the consulting market, and so I've always trying to find out how I can help businesses go through change and complexity, but I'm also looking for a stable client base. Do you find that to be a stable client base?
Well, I would say it's one where it requires constant attention and a lot of networking and marketing.
Right.
So that there's some stability, but it goes in waves. So I've had periods of stability followed by periods that have been, that have been a little slower.
So what's your background? How did you get into this business?
Well, my background is an MBA in finance and international business. And I then worked in a couple of larger companies for a while, worked at Xerox, then at Digital Equipment, and then at Apt Associates. And from there, I went into consulting starting in the late 90s.
Are you alone, or do you have a staff with you?
I don't have full-time staff. I have partners and subcontractors who I call on from time to time.
Right, interesting. And can you give us a sense of a typical project that you would have?
Okay, well, for example, I've done a number of business plans, helping entrepreneurs to either write or refine business plans.
For market launching into this marketplace?
Yeah, either for launching into a market or for the purposes of raising capital.
Right. And do you help them raise capital as well?
On occasion, yes, especially for the international clients. That has a lot to do with bringing international investors or North American investors together with projects and deals in Africa, for example.
Right. Interesting. Do you find the market changing at all, both internationally and domestically? Is there any factors or trends that you're looking at?
Well, I find that internationally there's still a lot of, I think, growth in the emerging markets, in the developing countries. They've had a bit of a pullback recently, largely because of the slowdown in commodity prices, the slower growth in China, which is the source of a lot of their exports. But I think that's just a cyclical factor. And I think that the general trend is toward higher growth.
High growth. Oh, that's good news.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the Caribbean versus East Africa. Did you say?
Yeah, mostly West Africa.
West Africa. I apologize.
Yeah.
Caribbean. Multiple countries in the Caribbean. Differences between certain ones better than others.
Well, my experience has been more in the English-speaking Caribbean, places like Jamaica, and that's a business environment that's characterized mostly just by the fact that they're smaller economies, but there's still some interesting features, especially in the environmental space.
Right.
They're very interested in renewable energy, for example.
As you think they would be. And what about West Africa? Any trends coming out of there?
Well, there it's very much about infrastructure. So they're doing a lot of building of communications, electric power, roads, seaports, and airports.
Darnley, if somebody wants to find you at Advansa, how would they do that?
You can email me at advansa@yahoo.com. You can find me through LinkedIn.